how many times in all of your positions right now, if you're really honest, there are people you're supposed to call to get stuff done, and then there are people that actually get it done, right? Systems work like this, and I'll tell you something. I think it's a problem when the person you're called to get it done doesn't get it done, because if you don't know who else to call, you're out of luck. Now, I'm embarrassed to tell you what I'm about to tell you, but it's the truth. That I didn't tell any of my principal buddies about this connection. Because I always wanted to make sure that I would have my mole problem addressed. If I gave that information out, suddenly I might be at risk and my mole problem would still be a problem. So what I did is I made a decision that was best for me, not best for the organization, right? I played and took advantage of the larger fact that this was a broken system. This hurdle is an extremely big one to manage. How do we get through our own personal advantage and make decisions that are the greater good of the larger organization? That's a tough question. Yeah, please.
I think you have to do it if it's even at your own guts.
I completely agree with you.
Because it's better for the whole.
I completely agree. I wish I was a stronger person to do that. I didn't. I mean, it's embarrassing. There's a host of embarrassing things I've done. I could show you other pictures of my haircuts that Alana has seen that are equally embarrassing. And so, but it's the case. So part of what I want to do is I want to try to figure out how do we make that transparent so we all have a playing field. And it's just not okay that if you're the person that is supposed to twist the flux capacitor and you just don't for whatever reason, you're bitter, you're grumpy, you're angry, whatever, that's not okay. Because I need the flux capacitor twisted today, right? So it matters how we think about this. I'm going to go through I'm going to skip these things because I just want to get to this one last point because I know I don't have much more time with you. 7 minutes if I think correctly. Really? Now you tell me this. So I'm going to end with, well, it's almost the end. I'm going to propose something that's very counterintuitive. And I'm going to propose this idea. I'm going to propose that, in fact, the we are smarter and more intelligent than the individual elite few. This is a provocative idea. It's particularly provocative in university, who sort of celebrates the individual, right? As a faculty member, I don't get bonus points if I'm a nice guy or if I connect with other people. I get bonus points for bringing in stuff in the university that reflects me. Mm-hmm. By the way, that's a problem, I think. Because as long as faculty see themselves, this will be a very unpopular thing to say, but it's the way I feel. Oh, really? So as long as the current dynamic rewards faculty for being individuals and being the lone soldiers, etc., it'll be very difficult for us to break down these barriers, these artificial barriers that get set up between faculty amongst themselves, but between faculty and staff. I think as we move forward into this new world order, we've got to really see ourselves like what I said at the very beginning, which is we all share the same mission. Mm-hmm. And that means that your success as a staff member is my success as a faculty. My success as a faculty is your success as a staff member. It was never like that for my grandmother or my mom. And it's not okay because we didn't make good use of that knowledge. So that's our job. Our job here is to bridge and to connect. For you to reach out to me and for me to reach out to you in a spirit of openness and goodwill, and that's what it's going to take. And that's why I feel so privileged to be here today, and that's why I took this very, very seriously. And you can ask Luana. I contacted with her, talked to her on the phone, wanted to meet with her, everything else to make sure that when I had this time with you, I did it right. Because that means something to me. Had somebody done that for my grandmother or done that for my mom, I think it would have made a huge difference. So not on my watch. Like, it's not okay. But it's going to take all of us together. I'm going to illustrate that with this very profound picture. A jar of jelly beans. People are notoriously bad at guessing how many jelly beans are in the jar. Very bad at it. They do things like, oh, jelly beans about this big. 10 jelly beans are in that jar. 10 jelly beans are in that jar. Really? People are really bad at it. But if you did this, if you asked 200 people, right, which they've done time and time again, all these experiments, if you said to them, and what I'm going to tell you is going to blow your mind, if you said to them, guess how many jelly beans, and then you took the average score of all of their guesses, it comes out to be almost dead on exact to the number of jelly beans in the jar. That is a trippy idea, right? Okay, so I know there's going to be people out here who are going to fact check me, so please go and fact check me. I encourage you. But isn't that a powerful idea? That it's not about the one really excellent jelly bean guesser, it's about us collectively. Now you may be thinking, well, how often are we all guessing how many jelly beans are in a jar? Well, not so often. But it turns out that people have done experiments using like gamers to help deal with problems with DNA. Collective intelligence. The citizen scientist. Citizen scientist is a big movement in which we have, speaking about astrophysics, we have people, regular old everyday people, classifying different galaxies, all kinds of different types of galaxies. And there's all regular kind of people looking at them, analyzing them, trying to figure out what shapes they are, what they look like. These people have no advanced degrees in galaxy figuring outing. They don't have any of that. But they're able to help develop a typology and a system of analyzing this. So now our question is, how do we access our own collective intelligence? How do we recognize and live by and through the idea that the collective is actually smarter than the individual few? And that, to me, is what this group represents. It represents the power of the collective intelligence, the potential to do really amazing things in the world. So this guy has been like a theme for us, right? Invented the light bulb, but he really wasn't that interested in the light bulb, so to speak. He was interested in the network of connections that supported that light bulb. You see, the light bulb in and of itself doesn't mean anything. It means something when it's connected to a system that can help power it across a nation, across the world. We foreground the light bulb and we background the network. What I'm suggesting to you today is that we need to foreground the network and background the light bulb. It's not about that one thing that's snazzy and shiny. It's about that network of connections that enable that light bulb to do whatever it has to do, right? And that's what we represent. We represent the network, the potential, the power to be able to do something incredible, amazing, never done before. And this is going to require us to evolve from this idea about an information ecosystem where it's all about me to a knowledge ecosystem where we're interconnected, we're interdependent, and our success is based on one another. It's a shift away from me to us, from information to knowledge. And for far too long in doing this work, we've defined ourselves by our differences rather than being strengthened by them. We have seen diversity and difference and perspective as something to be avoided, something to be pushed to the side, not something to be embraced and leveraged for excellence. It wasn't always like this. Have any of you read the book A Team of Rivals? It's a book about Abraham Lincoln and his cabinet. So this is a very important picture, signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. There's Lincoln, there's his cabinet. What you might not know, aside from being a bunch of old white guys, is that all of those men ran against Lincoln. They were all his competitors. They all wanted his position. They all had different perspectives than Lincoln. And yet when Lincoln was in office, he brought all of them into his cabinet. These are some of the most important advisors Lincoln had during that very difficult time in our country. Lincoln didn't avoid diverse perspectives, he embraced them. When did it happen that we started saying it's better if we all think the same? This is not the case. This is about us embracing different perspectives, embracing our diversity, embracing our understanding, embracing the differences and the wonderfulness in our own backgrounds. And this is going to take us trusting one another, connecting to one another in a deep and meaningful way, knowing that when you jump, I'm going to be there for you. And that is really important. And so I'm going to leave with a wish for you as you do this work and you continue to do this work. To be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To think only of the best and to work only for the best and to expect only the best. To be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own. To forget the mistakes of the past and to press on to greater achievements of the future. And lastly, and most important, to be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble. Beautiful. So here's to our future, my friends. Only limits are the limits of our imagination. So let's dream up the kind of world we want to live in, and let's dream out loud at a very high volume. Thank you for the time today.
And I have to tell you, Dr. Daly is also one of the chairs of my dissertation committee. Whether or not I'm making it in club.
This is probably actually a really excellent strategy on lunch. Feed them lunch, give them a captive audience. Dr. Richmond, congratulations.